Hello everyone and welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. Today I'm going to show you how to make this angle cut card. It's a card that I used to make a while ago where you cut and scored on the inside of the card and then folded the flap over to make this shape. But I've found a much easier way to make it is to cut a piece of card off and attach squares of card to make this shape. Now I've called it a waterfront card because I'm using the waterfront set. And this set is carrying over to our new catalogue. I've only had the chance to play with it once before, and I made a birthday card for my husband. I made a step card so that it stands up like this. And as I say, this is the only time I'd ever used it, but I thought I'd have a play with it ready for card class. So what I've done is a small piece of stamping here, and I've actually stamped the inside too. I've stamped the back of the square and the inside where you're going to write your sentiments or your greetings as well. So let me show you how we make it. I'm going to make it in the Tranquil Tide. I love the Night of Navy, but I thought I'd just have a try with the Tranquil Tide and see how that one worked out. For card class, we're all making it in navy, so it'd be a nice change to make it in the green. Now, I've cut my basic card in Tranquil Tide at 8.5 by 5.5, and I've scored it at 4.25. And where the little dip or the valley is, that's going to be the outside of my card. So I'm just going to fold it under. You could go down with your bone folder as well. And then that's the basic shape and card. I need 2 pieces of Tranquil Tide at 3 inches by 3 inches. And I need 2 pieces of Whisper White at 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. And a piece of Whisper White at 5.25 by 4 for the inside. And we're going to do all the stamping first. So I need my inside piece and my 2 squares for the outside. Now this one doesn't look like I've finished cutting it, so let me just, it should be at 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and I've just left that one a bit long. So 2 3/4, there we go. So here's our 2 3/4 and our 1 at 5.25 by 4. And I've got all my stamps ready, and it's very little stamping. I'm going to start with the mountain, and the mountain is this smaller one here. I've seen a few people use the larger shape here for the mountain, and that looks really nice as a background mountain with in a lighter colour with these ones in front, but I tend to use it as water that way. But we'll use this one for the mountain, and I'm going to use the smoky slate. As you know, I always just check that my stamps are working. And sometimes when I check, that's when I find out if I want to do 1st generation or 2nd generation stamping as well. Now I'm going to stamp the mountain about halfway, but doesn't really matter if it's a little bit higher or a little bit lower. It's no problem. We're not stamping the mountain on the larger piece. So I'll just clean my stamp, put that one back, and put the grey away. We don't need the grey anymore. The next colour I need is my Pear Pizzazz. You could use Old Olive or any of your greens. And we're going to use the long, thin piece, this piece here, and we're going to use that for the grassy area. And it doesn't matter if you stamp it that way or that way. It's totally up to you. Okay, so we'll just stamp that under the mountain. Doesn't matter if you get a little bit over the mountain or if there are little gaps, it won't show at all. There, and then I'm going to put a little bit of this on the inside piece. So stamp just at the bottom of the card. And that's the end of that colour. There we go. And the next one I'll need is the Tranquil Tide, and this is going to be for our trees. Whoops, now, it doesn't matter which side you put your trees at. In fact, I like to have them at the different sides. I think I might need to put more ink on my Tranquil Tide pad. I think it's starting to go a little bit dry. So I'll just hold that for an extra second. There we go. I'm going to put these at the right hand side. And then these ones. I don't know how I've got a little piece of the Pear Pizzazz there, but I think if I stamp my trees over, it won't show. There we go. Amazing what you can do with a stamp. So that's the end of the Tranquil Tide for now. We will need that one again for our greetings. And then I think we'll do the sunshine. And I've chosen the crushed curry for the sunshine. I did try the Daffodil Delight and I tried my So Saffron. But the Daffodil Delight was a little bit too light, and the saffron, it wasn't quite the yellow I was looking for. So the crushed curry seemed to be just the right colour. I love this little circle for the sun. It's not quite round. It gives a really nice feel to the sunshine. Okay, and then time for the water. I'm using my Marina Mist. This colour is going to be retiring for our new catalogue, but there are some beautiful blues that are coming in. I'm going to use this one for the water today. As I said earlier, I do sometimes use this, but I just want to use the smaller one. And the Marina Mist is actually a little bit dark on the first stamping for what I need. So I like it as the second generation of stamping. So stamp off, and then let's put some water on. And the water doesn't go quite all the way along the card, but that doesn't matter because I just stamp a few times and then I start to fill in the little gaps. Sometimes I can turn it round and just fill little spaces in as well. There we go. Each little scene turns out differently just because of the way you stamp the water or where you put your trees and the sunshine. Just turn that round and whoops, pop a little bit more in there. Now there's no water on the inside piece, so that's the water finished with. Put my Marina Mist away. And the last little piece of stamping are going to be my birds. Now, I did something a bit naughty with the birds. And look away now if you're easily upset. I took the birds from the High Tide set, but what I did was I cut the stamp. It should be a long stamp. Let me just find the rest of it. And you see it should be like this for the long stamp, but I only really needed the 3 little ones, and I used just the 3 little ones quite a lot. So a while back I decided I would cut the big ones off, and if I do need a long line of birds, I just put them on my stamp on one of the longer blocks and stamp them all together. Now what you need to know, if you cut a stamp, then the guarantee from Stampin' Up is null and void. But I just wanted the little stamps. So let's see, where shall I put the birds on this one? Just here. did put the birds on the inside as well. Just flying over there. It just adds a little something for those birds. Okay. So that's all of the main stamping done. I'm going to get our card ready next. Before we start to cut the front and measure where we want the pictures to be, I'm going to adhere the inside so that we can see, so that we can see where the corners are and everything once we've done the angled cut. And that helps you to measure where you need your squares to go. So if you just have this piece in place, it makes it so much easier. Okay. Now, the next thing we need to do is the angle cut. And I just tend to cut it by eye. But if you want a precise measurement, I looked on most of the cards that I'd made, and they seem to be at a 1/2 inch from the center fold, a 1/2 inch. So if I measure just 1/2 inch, I'll put it on the 1/2 inch mark and just draw a little line. Doesn't need to be very exact. And then where I cut down to on this right hand side, it was about 1.75 inches. So I'm just going to put a little line at 1.75 inches. And then using the trimmer and your 2 little marks, I put the first one in the track at the top and moved my card, keeping that little mark in the track there, moved it until the other line was in the track as well. And then just close up the trimmer, wibbled it, close up the trimmer and cut that piece off. You don't need this piece. You might want to save it for another project, but you don't need it for that one. And that's all of the cutting done. The next thing we need to do is to get our 2 squares of 3x3 card, and we're going to glue the stamping pieces on. Now you have got quite a nice border on this. It's a 1/4 inch and it just gives enough all the way around. There we go. Okay, now decide which of the pictures you want on the front. I'm going to use this one on the front, and then just put it on top of your card, sort of deciding where you want it to be, and at the same time have a look at how much of the card is overlapping, because that's the only place you need to put the glue, whether you're using Tombow or Fast Fuse, only at this side. So I'm going to turn it over and remember that it's this side here. There we go. You don't need too much. And then making sure that your card is straight. Give yourself just a nice little border of the white. And then open your card up. The second piece you can glue all along. And then just line it up with the square that you've put on the front. There we go. And then all that's left to do is the sentiment. And I cut a piece of DSP from the Wood Textures paper at 3.5 by 1. It's quite a nice set of paper, this. It's all different kinds of woods, different colours, and it comes in 6 by 6 pieces. I used the large white piece, and I like to have just a little bit of this, where it looks weathered and the brown wood shows through. It just makes the DSP stand out a little bit. So I've cut the piece at 3.5 inches by 1 inch, and I'm just going to glue it onto my card and just sort of centre it and however high you feel you want it to be. Okay, and then the last thing is to make a sentiment to go on the front. And you'll see on the first one I made, on the navy one, I did Let's Celebrate, and I took that from the Balloon Adventures, which is, I think it's retired now, but I liked this banner shape and I use this one quite a lot and fussy cut it. So I stamped this one, and then as you can see, this is the sentiment I chose for the first one, but for the card I'm making now, I want to use the happy birthday, but the happy birthday is straight and my banner is curved. So what I did was I took out the stamp, and when I put it onto my block, I just put it on and then I sort of moved it round a little bit. The photopolymer is so easy to manipulate and make into shapes, and I just made it so that it was round, stuck it down, inked it up, and then used it. So you can see it's slightly curved and it fits in with the shape of the banner. And then I just fussy cut it out and attach a couple of dimensionals just so that the sentiment stands off the card a little bit. That was a little bit high. There we go. And then, oh, still a little bit high. I'm going to take that one off because I don't want it showing. So I'll pop another one on. You could have cut it off with a pair of scissors if you'd wanted. And then just adhere that on, and there you are. So that's our card that we're making for card class tomorrow, and our angle cut waterfront card. So have a try at making it. Hope you have fun, and if you'd like to subscribe to my YouTube channel, just click the little subscribe button and then you'll be notified of other videos that I make. Thanks again for joining me. Bye.